Welcome to the Kratom Sobriety podcast. My name is Charlie. And today our guest's name is Jude. Welcome to the podcast, Jude.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah. And how do you usually introduce yourself when meeting someone new?
Yeah, so my name is Jude. You said that part already. I live in the Midwest. I grew up in Chicago, the seventh of eight girls in my family. Had a fun childhood in the 70s. I left Chicago to go to college in Wisconsin, and my parents retired and moved to Florida right as I was graduating college, so I just stayed in Wisconsin, lived in different parts of the state, actually worked for the state for a bit. But I still consider Chicago where I'm from. Spent a lot of time there with family and friends. I'm a big Cubs fan. I currently live in Milwaukee, but I have a home that's about an hour outside of the city of Chicago, so in the lakes area, so still have a foot in both states. I had the opportunity to retire early about 6 years ago from a company I was with for 24 years just because of an ownership transition situation, and, yeah, since then, I've been trying to figure out who I am without that work identity and process that. That sort of coincided with the kratom addiction, so I guess that didn't help much.
Yeah. Do you have any problems going to games in Milwaukee as a Cubs fan?
I'll go to a Cub Brewer game in Milwaukee, yep, I'm okay with that.
Okay, it's a friendly city. The Brewer fans aren't too obnoxious. I'm experimenting with trying to ask some lighter questions at the top of the interview rather than just waiting all the way to the end. Before we get into your quitting story, what do you do for fun or to relax these days?
Yeah. I wish I had a better answer. I have a cute 5-year-old, 5-pound little dog who is all about relaxing usually, so he's fun. I got him a couple years after I left work, so we grew into this phase of life together. I love spending time with family and friends, the little kiddos in my life. I have a great nephew, the same age as the dog, and anytime I could spend with him is a big win in the fun column for me. To be honest, I still struggle with a bit of a work addiction sort of thing that I dealt with for a while. I've dialed it back a lot, but I do some consulting, and I think some of that's fun. I do some work for nonprofits in strategic planning and leadership development. Some of that's fun. It shouldn't be. I got better at saying no to work opportunities, but started raising my hand for some volunteer things. And currently, I actually do get a lot of joy from literacy tutoring with first graders, which I was never in teaching. So that's just fun. I don't know, for me. In the summer, the place in Illinois is, I have a good time there, family and friends visiting, kayaking, jet skiing, mainly the younger ones. But I wish I could say I'm someone that sits on the end of the pier and puts a fishing pole in the water, and I want to be that person, but I'm not. I do have signs that I could be a birder, though, and I do saying birder because I could sit there in the quiet and listen to or see different kind of birds. Then people started giving me bird books when I said that. Yeah, I could be that. I have a long list of things I want to do for fun that I have intended on getting back into or trying, but so far I'm just not organized enough to do it. Yeah, that's about it.
When is your Kratom quit date? And where are you today in your sobriety journey?
Yeah, May 30th of this past year, May 30th, 2025, just coming up on 8 months. I'm doing well with that. It's the second time I quit, but I'm doing well with it. By July, I realized that I didn't want to, and there could have been a risk of reaching for alcohol. I was like, to just to fill a void reach for something, staying away from that. I think there's been 3 times I drank since quitting Kratom, but it hasn't been all that interesting. I never wanted to drink alcohol when I was on Kratom, so I think that light went off, weirdly. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Congratulations. And so take us back to when you first started Kratom. Why did you first, how did it come across into your life?
The end of 2019. So there was a few things going on, dealing with some endings. My mom had died, and that kind of coincided with the time that I was backing out of working at the company, although I had retired, but I was still working at the UK operations of the company. That was a very narrow focus. And because it was different, I think that was a loss. I wanted to do it. I was all excited about leaving. But then once you do it, you realize maybe you weren't prepared for it. I had re injured my back. I had a back injury previously, cracked my tailbone. So that was in the summer and started taking pain meds, not the first time. And I did really want the pain to stop. That was for real. I ended up getting some other treatment and it did stop. So the pain meds at first were for actual pain and then just because I liked them. And it was different from the last time I took opiates, harder to get. So the prescription, it's only going to last you so long. And the supply just doesn't keep up with the demand of my addicted brain. And there I was, and I was feeling it and just going through some other things with these losses. So, yeah, previously I had taken a lot of supplements, or not a lot, but a type of supplement for opiate withdrawal. So I was doing this Google search, looking for a magical fix for feeling better and getting off of that. I was needing to be off of it because I didn't have it. And I came on this course, and it was an opiate detox and quitting strategies course. It was like an online course that this guy had put together who was a former opiate addict, was at one point a drug counselor, and now was doing this. And if I pay for something, it's got to be better than what
Yeah,
I.
yeah. I think I remember seeing that on the internet.
Yeah, I did it. Start to think it's got to be good then because it's been created, you're paying for it. And the guy that created it came with it. I'm sure it was an upsell, but I had some time with him in consult, talking about things, working through things. He was very knowledgeable, nice guy, a cheerleader, which was helpful for me. And yeah, I was looking back at some emails to try to put this timeline together. And there was a lot. There was drawerfuls of supplements, and he recommended. So I was taking a lot of supplements, a lot of supplements. And then in November of 2019, there was a supplement on this email. And then at the bottom, it said Kratom Protocol.
Hmm.
That was recommended as something that was going to help me. He gave me a place. It wasn't a store. It was a guy actually in Illinois, but it was a mail order. So I ordered these capsules. If I would have stuck with that and that protocol, I wouldn't be having this conversation because I think it was I was okay. But I guess I got bored with it, or I'm just an addict. But yeah, that's how it all started.
All right. And how did it escalate over time?
Yeah, that gets a little foggy. That's one of the things that's hard with this is you start to realize that you lost years of your life. That was 2019, and I don't think I found it difficult or a problem until like mid 2021 or into 2022. And I was just taking those capsules from the same place for a while. My objective was getting rid of the cravings that I had for opiates, and I did. I guess it worked. I think I stopped for a bit because I know I jumped into playing tennis and I was doing fitness stuff and I don't know, but that time during COVID, I think that might have been, yeah, that was before I think I stopped. But I was going stir crazy and like everyone else. And, there were specific things I intended on doing when I left the company I was working at, a couple people I was going to work with, business ventures, and everything was on hold. And I couldn't figure out how to do things into virtual mode. And I don't know. I just started feeling bad. I started taking increasing amounts. I started like handfuls of these capsules. And there was a little bit of pain somewhere in there too. Or maybe I just decided there was. I'm not sure. But I think it was boredom. And so it was escalating there with those capsules. And then my great nephew came into the world, and just spending time with him took away need for feeling. I just felt good all the time. So that I was helping them like 1 or 2 days a week. That boy saved me. So I was continuing to buy capsules from the same place, do the same thing. They were shipped. There was actually an email I saw. I had bought a place in Wisconsin again, and because he had been shipping it to the place in Illinois. And so I wrote to him and said, "Could you ship it to me in Wisconsin?" And he said, "No, it's a Schedule 1 there."
Oh,
And
man.
so it was illegal and a Schedule 1 in Wisconsin. You think that would have knocked some sense into me, but yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the addict part. How could it be bad when this opiate detox guy recommended them? It's an herb. What's that about? So I ignored it. Then there was elevated into the extract chapter, not from that place I was ordering the capsules. I walked into a smoke shop, but next to my dry cleaner, there was a neon sign that said Kratom, and I said, "Do you have this brand?" The brand I'd been taking. He goes, "No, but I have this, and I have this, and I have this, and I have this," and just started showing me I didn't know any of that. I hadn't explored it, hadn't thought about it. There was like 45 brands, so I walk out with a bunch of that. Eventually, I don't know how long, he introduced me to extracts, like literally opened it right there like it was a shot on a bar. "Here, try this." And what am I doing? "Okay, yeah, I'll just knock this back." I have no idea what this is, and I'm just all of a sudden hooked on these extracts. They were expensive. I found a distributor online that was cheaper, so I started ordering them by the box, and then 3 boxes at a time. And then that smoke shop guy started giving me that price because he felt we were friends, of course. Yeah, another thing was I was working more in Milwaukee when things opened up, and it was an hour and 15 minutes to get to my place in that smoke shop in Illinois. I must have researched what's at the border. So I found a place I could get to in 40 minutes, and I would figure out I could get down there. So those were those 3 sources, and I had them all going. So yeah, that there it was. Difficult to control for sure. I don't know.
So when you were doing the capsules, just to get us an idea, were you dosing multiple times a day? And how much how many capsules were you taking?
Yeah, I am not 100% sure. The guy in the smoke shop had asked me, like, "What are the grams of the things you're taking?" And I didn't know. But it was increasing. I was ordering them more, and I might have been going through 100 in this bottle in a week. So then I was ordering different colors and different kinds and
Yeah.
acting like I'm doing this because I want to try this. But really, I was just knowing somewhere in my mind I needed more. The extracts got up to 5 or more a day. Those were like 3, those can I say a brand? No. Those
Yeah,
black ones.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
but were they like 15 to 20 bucks a piece?
yeah, and they were like 325. That was all milligrams and not grams were
Milligrams of Mitra,
yeah,
yeah, but
yeah. So, yeah, those were th that that really escalated, and I guess that's when I knew I probably should have known that I was searching for something with those capsules, but, I mean, there was some pain stuff that crept back in that stayed in my mind. This is all okay between the whole it's in a tea somewhere, and it's a leaf, and it's natural, it's an herb, and the opiate detox expert recommended.
Yeah, yeah. There's a
So,
lot of permission structures
yeah,
there,
yeah, for sure.
and not obvious red flags other than maybe that it's illegal in Wisconsin. But
Yeah,
before
that was definitely a red flag that I was ignoring.
before we get into sort of what made you stop, would you consider your opiate use and any earlier drinking in your life as a previous addiction?
Yeah,
Or yes, okay. And did you ever get any kind of treatment for those?
no. I went through stages of binge drinking, and yeah, I didn't go to treatment. When I was younger, it was trendy to try out a but yeah, no.
Okay. And so when the escalated extract use just got out of hand, what did got you to the point, okay, I got to stop this? And what did that look like?
It was different. The first time, I think there were a few things. Like I said, I had some specific intentions relating to what I was going to be doing when I left the career I was in with regards to business and directions. And I had people that I was going to work with, and we were getting off the ground when COVID hit. And I thought I was getting back to it. And like I said, I have an unhealthy relationship with kind of some work stuff. So I was also doing consulting work for other like companies. But I thought I was getting back to all the other stuff, and I wasn't. I might have been dabbling in it, but it was all disjointed, and I wasn't doing very well at any of it. Like, I couldn't put the building blocks in place. Things that would have taken me 3 hours were taking me a whole day, and so that was a sign. I think the biggest thing that happened was I had gone over to London, and I literally brought all those extracts there. I didn't think of that till way into quitting that I did
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I was coming back, and there was all sorts of delays, and I was stuck in Toronto airport, and I took too much. I didn't know how much I took, and I went over in a way that I hadn't before. And I have a note taped to the inside of my journal that looks like a 4-year-old wrote it.
Wow.
And I'm going to read it because I wrote it down here. It says, I can hardly see to write this. I only know what it says because I read it so many times. Trying to eat a bagel at the airport, shaking, sweating, praying I'll be okay, afraid to eat this. If I swallow, I'll choke. Glad I could blame no sleep after flight canceled. I don't think I could walk to the gate now. How will I be on the plane? Praying and promising to get rid of this stuff and be done with it for good. That scared me. I literally do remember looking at the gate not too far away going, I don't think I could get there. So that was like the first time, only time really I went that far. And so I don't know what happened between June and September when I started a journal, but I do know I came home and I got rid of shit. Like I cleaned stuff out, and
And is that what led up to your first quit?
yeah, it did. I got rid of stuff, and I think I got in touch with a psychiatrist that I used to have, and just was able to talk with him on the phone, and he helped a lot. I think that was the time I actually got back in touch with opiate course guy, and
Mhm.
he had a new course on quitting kratom. I'm like, "What?"
So that first time you quit,
Yeah.
how long did it last? And then why did you return to Kratom?
Yeah. It lasted till March. I didn't quit right away in September. That's what I was looking. I thought I wrote notes here. The anniversary of my mom's death was in December, and that's when I quit. On that day, I said, I'm never doing these again. I made a whole promise, and I never did do extracts again. Never did do those extract shots again. But oh, I know. Yeah. So I was trying to quit that, threw everything away, and I was not feeling well. at all, but I couldn't get my head to say it was withdrawal. It's, "Oh, I must be getting sick," or "Damn international travel." I was all achy, so it must be my tailbone again, something's happening because I didn't sleep in the airport. So I wasn't, like, seeing that initially as I really thought I just had COVID or something again.
What led you back to using Kratom again?
Yeah, so there was other loss, and there w there were some kinda challenging family situations, and I was wanting to just check out.
Yeah.
Just
Kratom is good for that.
yeah. And what happened was I found a big bottle of those capsules. And so I started taking those and rationalizing. And then this little gel pack, which had all these like vitamins listed on it. And I'm like, this is actually vitamins, just a little bit of kratom in it. And so that was some form of extract. And I thought it's only 50 milligrams. That's nothing. In this little gel pack, it said 3 servings per pack. So it was 150 in not too long, I was taking that, and all of a sudden I was ordering those in boxes and,
I think I know that product. I had a run with those too,
yeah,
and you won't believe how many people I've heard find capsules in a
yeah,
suitcase or in a drawer or an extract shot under their driver's seat, and it's that and that gets them back.
yeah.
So you started up again, and then how long was your run that led you up to last May? And what made you stop again in May of 2025?
There was something that at the urging of my therapist, I went to an addictions doctor, which was that was before the first quit, though, but this rang in my brain a lot. So I go to this addictions doctor, and he knew about kratom, and I'm telling him like it is. I'm totally honest. And he's rattling off the equivalents of what I'd be taking in oxys or whatever. He
Mhm.
said, "I'll work with you. You got to go on Suboxone." And I thought, "You've got to be kidding me. That's just me and my unique self." I was like, uh, I don't need that. I'll just go quit. So that is that and the date of my mother's death, my ego and that made me quit that first time. So when I relapsed, I was thinking about that again. Should I go back to this guy? Because I clearly
Mhm.
do it on my own. The first time I quit, I hadn't told anybody except that psychiatrist. Nobody. I told everybody I had COVID and bought a bunch of things to eat, and I just white knuckled it. I had tried to cut down, but I didn't. So the second time, what I just realized I was buying boxes of those things now, doing that all over again. And a big thing for me, I was worried about my memory at that point in that second quit. I had more information. I started to try to taper myself, and I was finding more like that whole first time I didn't find this podcast. I didn't find anything except a woman doing little videos on YouTube that was quitting. So I had a lot more information. I listened to this podcast. It gave me hope. I found some online support. I just learned a lot, just reading Reddits and stuff like that. And I found Reaction Recovery, which is a company that has a unique model to help with addiction, wherever you're at with addiction. And so biopsychosocial model. And I was doing that virtually. I liked the model, the kind of recovery coaching, and a lot of good formats and accountability factors. And I was not doing well tapering. So the guy I was working with, Jeff, he managed the taper. That's how that worked. So I was able to, that kind of accountability helped me a lot, having a person to talk to about it.
And so that's how you quit back in May was
Yeah,
yeah, and did you have a individual coach that you worked with
yeah,
at Reaction Recovery? Okay.
yeah. Before that I really was worried about my memory, and I went to the Amen clinics. I don't know if you've heard of that. They do all these
No.
brain scans. I literally thought there was something wrong with my brain. I didn't think it was the kratom. I literally thought it was like, this is dementia, early onset dementia or something. And I was so worried about my brain. So that was a big motivator. So I went there, they did all these expensive brain scans, and I didn't have any problems with that. But then I told that doctor I use kratom. He's like, that's what it is.
How is your memory now, to fast forward a little bit compared to when it was at its worst with the kratom?
Good, good. It's definitely, I don't have that. I wish I would have, I did write a lot down then. That was a big thing, journaling. I was so afraid that's what was happening. And
Yeah.
so when I read that, I realized, and I didn't think it would ever repair. There's times I could blame stuff like that's because I used kratom all that time. But yeah, it's just normal now. I don't have the fogginess or it's hard to explain. It's not hard to explain to all of you, but that's scary to
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, it is. I did feel some mental acuity effects, and yeah, it was like, oh wow, this is affecting, especially since my work and is so much based on my mind. So that was scary. But so that first month after you quit, how was it with withdrawals? And yeah, and it sounds like, did you just cold turkey?
No, this most recent quit, it was a long taper.
Okay.
And the coach I was working with had some pieces in place for that. Like I said, there was a lot of things I had to record and
Okay.
a lot of accountability in these weekly meetings and exact amounts. And I know people do that, but I had like I had gone from some of those things, gel packs, to finding gummies because they were less potent, but I was just taking the gummies on top of those things. I couldn't manage it. So I literally was like putting them in little baggies and putting the date on there. And when I was taking it, I had to take pictures of the baggies and send it to them.
Yeah.
And it was like a routine. So it took a while. It took a while, but
It-
it worked.
but hopefully the tapering process, it made the withdrawal process less severe.
Yeah, I think it definitely did. I think the physical withdrawals started during the taper. Like I had that. And I just listened to this podcast all the time, like just getting me through some of those restless nights and all those symptoms. But yeah, it definitely made it less severe when I finally jumped. There was a lot of there was still physical stuff that happened, but a lot of emotional stuff when I finally was done. You're hanging on to your best friend. I thought everything would be normal, but I was so depressed because I thought I broke my brain. There's lights
Yeah.
out in my brain, nothing's firing. So I was depressed. I was reaching for anything. I had some comfort meds, but even with reaction recovery, having one of the things was this smoothie every morning and different supplements and that. And I'm like, I'm just going to take more DLPA. This will do it. I'm literally a shock. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Cause I'm like, maybe if I take more vitamin C, it'll help me feel better. No, not going to happen like a drug. Yeah, it was hard. The emotional stuff was hard that first month. I didn't like myself. I thought I broke stuff. Any mess ups, anything I did that maybe wasn't exactly as I wanted to was magnified.
Yeah.
I was fortunate it was in the summer because I got out. I pushed myself to get out and just walk, to have the light, sun, the lake, stuff like that. But unfortunately, I never told anyone close to me. So the downside is I didn't have people. I didn't have people in my life that were aware and holding me up. So that was not good.
Yeah. Was there any tools or supports that helped you get through these tough stretches?
Yeah, actually, a lot of things from working with the coach from Reaction Recovery, there were so many like organized tools and that which I could not have figured out on my own. But there was also pieces like I like the part of this podcast when you would have resources because I'd
Yeah.
fall asleep listening to different podcasts, not because they were boring, but because it was oh good, I'm sleeping for a minute. And then I'd wake up and I'd go in and I'd look for it, or just things that people said. I journaled a lot, and, like, I was very yeah, I journaled a lot. I journaled, like, I gave it a rating. I said what I took that day, what I was feeling, what I ate, if I walked, and that's what Jeff was trying to do, look at this happens and then this happens, which was helpful to me, and then I started doing that. There was a guy on your podcast who talked about make 2 lists, and I tell people this, like, the reasons you like Kratom and then the reasons you think it sucks, and writing that alone, there was that, and then there was the make a plan every day. Like, he talked about, like, a really meticulous plan, like, what you're gonna do from hour to hour. You get
Yeah.
home, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna eat? How are you gonna do this? And make it more and more specific and minute. I think that helped. Yeah, I haven't had a lot in recent months that has concerned me, but there was something around the holidays that was triggering for me, and I really thought, "I'm good. This is gonna happen. I'm gonna use." And I got home, it was like an hour drive, and I was going through these I was listening to the podcast the whole time, and I went home and I had this folder of all these resources, and I did that urge surfing. You remember that? There was
Yes.
some urge surfing.
I remember that resource. My therapist sent it to me personally myself.
That was one. Yeah.
It's a blast from the past. We used to do resource of the week and create them in the headlines,
Oh,
and
yeah, create them in the headline.
we did those in the first 100 episodes, and I had to let that go. That was a little bit of me with my work addiction, and I had really high standards for the podcast at first, and then I had to let go of because they did take a lot of I think they were very valuable,
Yeah.
and a lot of those early episodes were really well done, but I had to let producing those 2 extra segments every week was a lot of work, so I had to let them go, and I miss them,
I
but
like the piece with you guys talking for a few minutes ahead of time about something, though. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's a
We wanna keep the intros going, though.
yeah.
We've lapsed a couple in the last couple of months, but we are gonna try to make sure they happen every week.
I have to add one more NAD. I started NAD treatment.
There's an NAD protocol is associated with kratom and just with opiate
Yeah.
withdrawal, and
It's something that your body naturally produces, and most of us probably are low on. People take it as a supplement, and I became familiar with somebody that was interviewed on a podcast, and she has a drug treatment program out in Louisiana, and she really believed in this, and I spoke with her, and I was actually gonna go out there and then found it. They have them at these IV wellness places,
yeah.
so I found one that had NAD, so I did that. I should have said faith. I really was leaning on that. I just wasn't clear enough to put all those pieces together. And therapy was a big deal for me. I started up going to therapy. There was somebody to keep the truth, because not telling my friends and family, that's dangerous, because you start to think you're just living in this reality that you can make it whatever you want. Yeah.
Did you have any close calls or, like, moments where you were tempted to use kratom in the last 8 months or so?
I had another couple losses, and I guess there was temptation. I think I did well navigating those. The closest call was actually just in December, and that's just has to do with a Christmas event family member was gonna be at that I just didn't it just was gonna be really hard for me. That was the closest call. I think going to therapy more frequently is helping me address some of the things that I have to work on, so I'm not always putting myself in situations that there might be those risks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you went to some online meetings and got involved with the online kratom quitting community. How did that factor into your recovery?
Helpful with with this podcast, and then I did find a group through what you list, and that Interestingly, I found it and I clicked on it, and it was also a year later on the anniversary when my mom died, so that was cool. And just between listening to people on the podcast and listening to people in those meetings, like everybody else says, it's connects you, makes you feel like you're not so insane and it's happening to other people. The same thing, there's been some Reddit chats, and mostly I think I do a little bit better with the one on one. So I've made some connections that I talk or
Yeah.
text with people that are also recovering or recovered and relapsed, and just having those relationships are helpful.
Okay. And do you still feel like your story isn't as dramatic as some people's stories and it's hard to relate to people? You didn't go bankrupt and you didn't spiral out of control, ending up in horrible situations, but it definitely wasn't going well for you.
Yeah, I think that's a defense mechanism, and also something that allows me and other people that are addicts, I think, to hang on to the addiction is it's not that bad. It's not like I'm a heroin addict. It's not like I drink a handle of vodka. I just drink beer. It's all of that allows me to stay in it. And my thinking of it's not that interesting of a story. It's not like everybody else is all probably rooted in that.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Being in an airport internationally, too shaky to go to a gate and when maybe getting up to 5 extracts and spending a good amount. That's relatively serious, but I'm
Yeah.
glad you're doing a lot better. Do us a selling job. Like, why is it so much better now off the Kratom? Why is it worth to get quit?
Mhm.
And how much better is it today than it was when you were in the middle of this mess?
I've evolved to this point where I do believe that every day I get, I have the opportunity to make it better for myself and other people. So what is that improvement? And I don't think I could do that by still taking Kratom. Like, how sick do you want to get? Because it's just gonna get worse. And I guess that's that's the plus. What if I just have today? I don't wanna go out with that as a final
Mhm.
song. What are all these bottles in her? And I can't do the other good stuff if I'm on that. I didn't
Yeah.
do it, I can't do it. I have a hard time doing it as it is. There's a note I wrote that says, "Draw, Antonio, draw," and that was something Michelangelo wrote. They found that he wrote it to a student, and draw, Antonio, draw, and don't stop. And that always resonated with me. And I think of Kratom takes the pencil away. Kratom is
Huh.
not going to let me do any of the things I want to do. And so that's what I would think.
So we've gotten some feedback that sometimes when we ask these like change of pace questions at the end of the podcast and the interview that it seems jarring. So I asked you one early on and I can't let go of old habits because after hearing all this bad stuff, I like to brighten it up a little bit. But we're gonna stick with some tradition here. Is there anything anywhere you would like to travel nowadays? Any trips planned?
I do not have any trips planned. I traveled a lot during time and work, and lived in England for a while, didn't do enough of Europe, so there's places that I wanna go back to, but there's something interesting to me. It was something I wanted to do maybe 20 years ago, and it's come back in my mind, and I wanna do it now. It's called the Rocky Mountain Railway, and it goes straight across Canada on one of these, like, beautiful trains with sleeping carts and dining cars and dining carts and domes. It's just gorgeous. My aunt and uncle did it many years ago, and, like, you could get on and off and see beautiful parts of Canada, and, yeah, so that's on my mind lately that I might do that.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. My sister wants to go. People wanna go when you tell them about it. It's just really making it happen. You could start at any part of Canada. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. You're going through beautiful land. So, yeah, that would be it. That
And,
would be the next one, I think.
and it would definitely be a lot more fun when not have to worry about kratom dosing. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
or sitting in an airport while on kratom,
Yeah, yeah,
falling
yeah.
falling out. Yeah.
If somebody's listening right now who feels unsure or unqualified or not sick enough to quit, what would you want them to hear from you?
Yeah, I guess I said that. How sick do you wanna get? And I think there's always that gamble. There's always that gamble. Take the day and just start to look at what you can contribute instead of poisoning yourself, and even if you think you're not sick enough, it's still get a little worried about the poison that you're ingesting and think about the imprint you wanna leave, and listen to all the podcasts so you the other words of wisdom the
Yeah.
other words of wisdom will fall on you.
And I think it is one of the new gambles that we're seeing in the last year, 7-OH.
Yeah,
More and more of us I've
even
seen
more.
when people relapse is it either escalates to 7-OH or it's just 7-OH from the beginning.
Yeah, and there'll be more of those. I think there already are.
Yeah, there's something out there called MGM-15 that you'll have to worry about.
Yeah,
There's gonna be a chemicals arm race with the derivatives and isolates, and they'll ban one type and then they'll reformulate it, and so it
yeah.
evades the ban rules, and yeah.
I think people I've talked to that are on the fence, or the whole "I'm not sick enough," or "I don't know, maybe I could cut down, do this myself." I always tell people to journal, write it down, and you'll see. Give your give yourself some objectives, and you'll see. And if things are stronger and your brain needs more, you're gonna go to some things that are even more poisonous. Yeah. There was a time where I thought I was hearing about the Kratom kava bars in Florida, and I thought, "That sounds like a cool vibe," and I was trying to get off of Kratom. I didn't hear about it until I was trying to get off of Kratom, but my I have family in Florida, and I thought about, "I'm just gonna go try that out," and I realized, yeah, I could try that out, but it's not gonna be enough, and, yeah, that's the thing. It's not gonna be enough.
Any parting words? Something I didn't ask that I should have.
Thanks for organizing these podcasts. I know that you've heard it pretty much from every guest that it's helped them, and you haven't heard from all of the people that are out there that listen to it, and so thanks for it's not an easy thing, and thanks for organizing it.
Thanks, Jude. I appreciate it.